Another new comic book day is fast approaching. Let's take a look at what books are coming out so I can tell you what's on the pull list. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is the pull list. This is my weekly series where I tell you which books are on my pull list for this coming up Wednesday, February 22nd. I'll tell you what's on the chopping block and what's on the maybe list that I'm making a game day decision on. This is another packed week of new comic books. Last week, you might know, Marvel took over the pull list. This week, DC is back on top. And speaking of DC, let's talk about the book I am most excited for this week, and that is Superman by Joshua Williamson and Jamal Campbell, issue number 1. I'm very excited about this series, right? I've been telling you guys, I want to see Jamal Campbell drawing a mainline Superman, Green Lantern, something, ever since I saw him do Naomi season 1 a couple years back. Well, we finally got our wish, or I got my wish at least, and now Jamal Campbell is the main artist on the interiors of Superman, and it's going to be written by Joshua Williamson. Now, I told you guys, I've been really enjoying everything going on in the Superman family of titles leading into the Dawn of DC, and this is one of the official Dawn of DC titles, with Superman back in Metropolis with his family, with Lex Luthor being, the main antagonist even in prison. I'm very excited to see what this series has to offer, and I'm mostly excited to see like a bright, like shiny Superman book on shelves. We've had Superman in War World via Action Comics, and that's been really good. He's finally out of War World and back in Metropolis in Action as well. We had Son of Kal-El, which was good, but I mean, for me, John Kent isn't like the Superman. I'm excited about a bright and shining title with the mainline Superman, Clark Kent, and again, one of the best artists in the game, along with one of the best writers. He's really been the architect of the whole DC universe for like 2-3 years now. So Josh Williamson's Superman is going to be at the top of my reading pile this week. It's got a cover price of $4.99. It's an oversized issue, by the way. I'm going to grab the cover A. And since we're talking about DC Comics, let's go ahead and move on to the rest of the pull list, starting with Batman Superman World's Finest, issue number 12. Now, I feel like issue 11 of this series came out like 2 months ago, and maybe, comic years time just passes further or quicker when you're a comic fan. But anyway, I remember that the Joker was involved with this somehow and kind of took over Superman's new sidekick. I'll have to probably read issue 11 again before we get into issue 12, but I am excited about it. It's got a cover price of $3.99, and I'm going to grab the cover A. And next up on the DC Comics pull list is, from Christopher Priest, Black Adam, issue number 8. Now, Black Adam, I had really been enjoying the series all the way up until issue 6, or through issue 6, where the story kind of started out where it felt like it could have been an Elseworlds tale. We've got like a new Black Adam who has been introduced, this kid named Malik from Southeast DC, who is going by Bolt now. That's his official name, and I have loved the introduction to Bolt. I love the jokes, it's classic Priest. If you know Priest, this is classic Priest, and I love it. But where I said this felt like it could have been an out of continuity story, or it could have taken place like any time, during the timeline, all of a sudden issue 6 plants it firmly in the current timeline, and issue 6 wraps up right before Dark Crisis. And then issue 7 takes place, I guess you could say, during Dark Crisis. There's like literally a scene from Dark Crisis, or from the Death of Justice League, in issue 7 of Black Adam. And it's this story with Mirror Master, and all of a sudden I am confused all over again. And part of this is just how Priest tells stories. Like, he's not going to just kind of hand walk you, or hand hold you, or hand feed or palm feed you the story. You got to do some work and really read the comic. But I left issue 7 like, okay, I kind of get what's going on. I kind of don't. I'm ready for the story to continue to reveal itself. So issue 8 is out this week. I'm officially confused, but it'll be okay. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up on the DC Comics pull list is Deceased, War of the Undead Gods #6. Deceased, classic Tom Taylor out of continuity story. Like if you read the first Deceased or the second Deceased or the third Deceased or the fourth Deceased, then you know you know exactly what you're getting into. It's just good old fashioned action comics, and it's unpredictable. It's fast paced. You get great character relationships as well as suspense, because you never know what's going to happen, who's going to pop up on screen, who's going to die, who's going to be a zombie. You just don't know, and that's the fun of it. And man, Darkseid's not playing around. So DC's War of the Undead Gods #6. It's still a thrilling series, is what I've got in my notes here. Cover price on this is $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And the last book on the DC Comics pull list this week is Nightwing, issue 101. Nightwing by Tom Taylor, art by Bruno Redondo. Has been like just, oh wait, I skipped a book. I'll talk about Nightwing. So Nightwing has been one of the most fun DC titles. It's been one of the most consistent DC titles, even if it feels like the story's been moving kind of slow. All of a sudden, I looked up and realized we've been reading Nightwing collectively from Tom Taylor for like 2 years, and we're just kind of resolving some threads that were opened up in the first story arc 2 years ago. But with that resolution, with Nightwing finally like kind of coming to the into the role of like the savior of Bloodhaven, with Dick Grayson making more moves to be like the Lex Luthor of Bloodhaven, if that's probably a bad way to say that, but he's coming into his own. And the Titans have now come and descended on Bloodhaven to like help out. And I'm very excited about the return of the Titans. We got a new Titans series coming up later on this year. But anyway, it's a great book, and I'm excited about the new, not really a new direction, but this new phase of the Nightwing story by Tom Taylor. It's got a price of $4.99 this week. I'm going to grab cover A. And back to that book that I skipped, the last book on the DC Comics pull list is The Flash, issue 793. Look, if you're not reading the 1 Minute War, it is probably the best thing happening in comics right now. It's the most exciting issue to issue. I think like every other week we're getting a 1 Minute War installment, and it's really good. It's really good. That's all I can say without spoiling. So read it if you're not reading it. And if you're not reading it, they do have like a little catch-up compendium style book that'll get you Flash issue 790, 791, and 792, and all that's coming out in the same week as Flash 794. So grab this and then grab all those, in 2 weeks, and you'll be caught up, and you'll be glad you got caught up. But Flash 793 has got a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And that's going to do it for the DC books on the pull list. So if I just stick to the list, my DC comics are going to cost me $26 this week. Not terrible. Not terrible at all. But let's move on to the House of Ideas. And Marvel Comics, we got 2 books on the Marvel pull list this week. The first is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 20. You guys know I've not been the biggest fan of The Amazing Spider-Man as of late. But issue 19 was pretty good. I mean, it's a guest issue written by Joe Kelly, art by Terry and Rachel Dodson. I told you guys I was really excited about the art from the Dodsons, but there were a lot of areas where it felt like it was rushed in the last issue. But the story itself was pretty good. Peter and Felicia trying to go on a vacation, trying to get a little break from superhero-dom. And of course, you can never take a break as a superhero. So that's the whole joke. And they come to this resort and find, a scheme going on. And so in this issue, they're going to wrap that up. They're going to foil the scheme somehow. And maybe this will have even more revelations between Peter and Mary Jane's relationship. There was definitely a funny encounter in the last issue. So all in all, I'm here for it. I'm not like excitedly here for it. I'm ready for issue 21, where we finally get some revelation as to what they've been teasing since issue 1 in this rebooted Spider-Man series. But Amazing Spider-Man issue 20's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And the last book on the Marvel pull list, that's right, there are only 2, is Immoral XMen issue number 1, aka Sins of Sinister Part 4. Now, last week, I can't even lie, the Nightcrawlers book I thought was going to be my jam. It just confused me a bit. So I wasn't the biggest fan of Cy Spurrier's Nightcrawlers, but I have been loving Immortal XMen, as well as X-Men Red. The Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants tie-in, that book was awesome. And that's written by Al Ewing, who writes X-Men Red. This one, Immoral X-Men, is written by Kieran Gillen, who writes Immortal X-Men. And I expect it's going to be a good book. Apparently, Emma Frost, my bad, has it out for Sinister, and we get to see how that goes. But just all in all, I really like the idea of basically a third of the Quiet Council being taken over by Sinister, and just what can happen with that, because apparently they're not just like puppets for Sinister, but they've got their own consciousness and their own ideas as well. So it's been an interesting ride so far. All in all, I probably give Sins of Sinister like a 7 out of 10 up to this point. But this has the potential to up the ante. It's really just a sour taste in my mouth from Nightcrawlers. But Immoral X-Men issue 1's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And that's going to do it for the Marvel books on the pull list. So if I just stick to the list, don't buy any extra variants or whatever, those books will cost me $8. And now we can move on to the indies, the lesser known, the smaller publishers. Starting with Darkwing Duck from Dynamite Comics, issue number 2. Darkwing Duck, written by Amanda Deibert. Art. Who's on art? I want to shout out the artist because the art is just that good in Darkwing Duck. It's Carlo Lauro. Yes, Carlo Lauro. But anyway, in this issue of Darkwing Duck, we're going to see Quackerjack, who's honestly not one of my favorite Darkwing heroes. But still, it's going to be a great issue. I really, really loved issue 1. I did have like one gripe with like the way the theme song joke worked, but it's really not a gripe. It's just like, if you're going to do the theme song, just do the theme song. But anyway, very, very great first issue. I loved it a lot. It felt so much like just watching an episode of the show. And so if this issue brings the same energy, it'll probably end up being my favorite book this week. Darkwing Duck, issue number 2. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm going to grab the cover A. And while we're over in the Dynamite arena, let's go over to Gargoyles, issue number 3. Gargoyles, written by Greg Weisman, who is like the original series writer for Gargoyles and the creator of Gargoyles. But issue 2, I can't even lie. With issues 1 and 2, I've had the same problem. This feels like it's a comic written for fans of the show, and not necessarily like it's a comic written for newcomers who might be interested in the show. Like, there is a difference. And maybe it's because I decided I was going to try to binge watch a little bit of the series, and I didn't make it through season 2. And so all of a sudden things are very different in this comic than they were in season 1 of the show. And I'm a little confused. So maybe it's because I watched the show that I'm more confused than I would have been if I had just picked up the book blind. But if I just try to ignore everything that I thought I knew about Gargoyles, it's a relatively interesting book. There's something going on. There are some gargoyles missing, and conventional wisdom would tell you that Xanatos is behind the missing gargoyles, but maybe that's not the case. And so we're going to get more of this mystery in issue number 3, and I'm down for it. I mean, at this point. So Gargoyles number 3 has got a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And the last book on my pull list this week is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Volume 2, issue number 3. Now, Power Rangers Ninja Turtles, I read the first series when I first got into comics in 2019. And since then, I've read a little bit of Power Rangers and a whole lot of Ninja Turtles. And all in all, this whole renewed volume, it brings back that same exciting energy from the first team up. We've got new reasons to sort of be concerned. We've got new reasons for the Rangers and the Turtles to be meeting up. Casey Jones in this version of events is like the one that's breaking bad and gone evil, and I'm down with it. He got some heartwarming moments in the last issue. My man Bunk pointed out a pretty cool moment between Splinter and Zordon. And I was like, okay, that's true. That was a nice moment. So if you take your time and just read through this, like, I think the nostalgia can really kind of carry you through the story. But even if the nostalgia is not what gets you through the story, the action and the art by Dan Mora absolutely will. Really, really great artwork. This is a sight to behold. So Power Rangers Ninja Turtles issue 3 from volume 2 has got a cover price of $4.99, and this issue we're apparently going to get a fight between Shredder and this new Ranger X that Rita's got going on. So that's going to be interesting. I'm probably not grabbing cover A. The covers that I have been most after have been the Torrin Clark variant. So I'm probably going to grab this Torrin Clark variant. It's got the Blue Ranger and Leonardo. So that's dope. But the cover that I'm like, really, like, I need this cover is the Kevin Eastman cover. It's a collaboration between Kevin Eastman and Freddie Williams III. And my goodness, that is an amazing cover there. So yeah, man, 2 covers I'm after. I can't even lie. Cover price is $4.99. I'm going to get one of them. So we'll figure out which one. And that's going to do it for the indies on the list. So if I just stick to the list, my indie books are going to cost me $13. And that brings my grand total right up to the max, basically. I'm at $47 for the week. So I can afford one extra variant cover. So I'm probably going to burn my variant card on Ninja Turtles. Hopefully there's nothing too great for Superman, as if there's not going to be a great Superman variant. So anyway, that's the list. What are you excited to read this week? Like I said, I'm most excited about Superman. I think Darkwing is going to be very good, at least if issue 1 was any indication. I'm hoping Black Adam kind of releases the fog, demystifies itself for me a little bit. Flash is going to be good. It's going to be a great week from DC. But yeah, we'll see how things go. Anyway, very excited about this week's books. If you want to know more about which books I end up enjoying, make sure you subscribe to my newsletter. It's called This Week in Comics. You can get it in the description down below. Shout out to the channel family that makes this content and all content on this channel possible. I'll see you guys in another video very soon. Until then, stay awesome and make sure you're reading something dope today.